In this episode, you'll discover how to overcome your natural biology, which resists movement pattern changes in your rowing technique.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, it's a very interesting topic we've got this week. Why athletes revert? Now, this came about from a coach who said to me, I have tried everything. I coach them something, they learn it in one workout, but come the next workout, they appear to have forgotten everything I've taught them. It's not always you, the coach. It's not always the athletes causing this. It's not necessarily willful. Why do we revert? The short answer is it's biology. This is the way human beings are designed and have evolved. It's hardwired into us. And we have to work extremely hard to overcome our muscle memory and the neural pathways which we already have. You've probably heard of the 10,000 hours to become an expert. Well, if you've done 10,000 hours to become an expert in squaring in a particular way and your coach wants you to change that, guess what? It's not going to be another 10,000 hours, but it's going to be a significant investment in time and effort in order to make a change. So the short answer to why athletes revert is the solution is time and repetition, multiple repetitions. You've heard me say before that if you do a drill in an outing, you should do it 3 times to ensure that the athletes really master the movements that you're trying to teach. But the problem is that your brain prioritizes familiar patterns. And when we're under pressure, which might be racing, stress, it might be just increasing the stroke rate, makes it more difficult. We have what's called automaticity, which means we revert back to doing it the way we automatically have done it before. So the second main reason is insufficient repetitions. Our solution is you have to do thousands of correct movements to override the prior pattern of movement that you've been using. So the challenge here is inconsistent reinforcement. And for masters who particularly find that they don't get coached every outing, your ability to self-coach is really important here. So on the intervening outings, you get to practice the thing correctly so that when you next go out with a coach, you've made an improvement. It's also important that you really understand exactly what the coach is trying to teach you. Ask questions. And from the coaching point of view, provide cues or drills so that the athlete can isolate or exaggerate the movement you're trying to teach. And then when you're working on it, add different types of pressure. So the 2 main types of pressure we can use in rowing is to increase the stroke rate or increase the pressure through the water. So you might do the drill at light pressure first, then increase to half pressure, and then do it at firm pressure. The third thing is cognitive overload, because we can get frustrated. An awful lot of time, masters go, I just don't seem to be able to do it. So the solution here is a slightly unusual one. It's to practice both thinking and doing. When I'm teaching as a coach, I will often get my athletes to practice something new and then to say, right, we're going to do 10 strokes now where you're going to not think about anything. Just move, just row. And during those 10 strokes, the athlete then doesn't try anything. And what you're looking for is whether or not they've maintained the movement pattern that you want. At the end of 10 strokes, we then can say, right, we can think again, go back, check, are you doing it right? If yes, then stop thinking again. If not, make a small change, practice it for 5 or 10 strokes, and then go back to not thinking. So this fits into the competence model that you've heard me talk about before, where we move from unconscious incompetence through to unconscious competence. But one of the intervening stages there is conscious competence. If I think about it, I can do it. And that's what you're training here by managing your cognitive overload, by freeing it up and not thinking. The key challenge here is that often the athlete thinks they're regressing. They're going backwards before they begin to make progress and move forward. And it can feel really awkward. Your boat speed can slow. The movement feels weird, strange. It's not habituated. And so you have to learn as an athlete to overcome that or work through it in order to achieve the end goal. Now, what about athlete receptiveness? Very few athletes are willfully not interested in getting coaching, but you have to test your new movement under pressure. You've got to increase the challenge so that when you are at your most pressurized, which if you race, that's probably, the final of your big event is when you're most under pressure, you're tired, and you've got the stress situation of being in a race, and you're rowing at high stroke rates. Can you manage the challenge? Can you hold on to the change then? Secondly, you've got to accept and overcome your fear of failure. Most rowers, are keen to perform well. They're keen to do the thing that the coach asked them to. And frustration can come from feeling that you're not delivering. Your new technique isn't tested. You don't know that it will be better, faster, smoother, more balanced than what you were doing before. The next thing is poor communication. That really undermines an athlete's ability to take up what you're trying to teach. Why is this a good thing? Explaining what it is you're trying to teach and then why it's a good thing and then how to do it will help a coach to present the message in a way that allows people to comprehend in their own way. And remember, different people learn differently. Some like to see a video, others like to hear words. The other big challenge is peer pressure. We've had a situation where a member of the crew who was a leader in the group fundamentally disagreed with some of the technique that was being coached and refused to change. And of course, if you're following someone who's doing something different, that's really not good practice. In rowing, we generally say, try and copy the person in front of you, even if they're doing it wrong. And then we try to change together to, I'm going to say do it right, but, make a technical change. Remember, though, in rowing, there is a difference in style versus technique. So a good example is to answer the question, how early should I square for the catch? My personal choice is to roll the blade square in one movement as my handle moves over my toes of my shoes. Some people might like to roll the blade more gradually square rather than flicking it over in one movement. Others say it doesn't matter when you roll it square, so as long as it is square in time for the catch. So these are just differences in style. All of those people will probably agree that you need to have your blade square before you get to full compression so that you can put the blade in the water before your seat changes direction and you move into the power phase. So beware the difference between style and technical differences. Now, how can you prevent reversion, whether you're a coach or whether you're an athlete? The first thing is to approach the change in really small micro steps. Take a very, very small first step. So that might mean doing the drill with someone else sitting the boat level, doing only a small part of the stroke. So you might just row up to half slide to practice something before then trying to put it into practice in the full rowing stroke. You might row one person at a time. So the load is heavy. You're carrying the weight, the mass of all of your other crewmates. And that helps you to feel what you are doing, particularly when the blades are in the water. But it also gives you much less feedback on the recovery, so you don't have any surge under the boat. Secondly, set up some external cues. Can you use video? Can you use markers? Can you use your feel? Can you use your hearing? What are the things that you can do that will tell you when you're getting it right and when you're getting it wrong? So an easy one that I often coach in the power phase is when I get to full compression, my lower ribs are touching my thighs. If I slump my back and curl my back rather than do a straight back rock over, what I find is that it's not my lower ribs, but it's my boobs that are touching my thighs. So I know that I've slumped. So that's a physical cue. Have I done a correct straight back pelvic rock over, or have I just curved my spine? So the third thing you can do is train under duress. Make it harder for yourself. Get it right in a safe, secure, level platform, light pressure, low stroke rates. Slowing things down is often a very good way to practice. And then train under increasing duress. And I've explained how you can do that. You can also set up accountability. Get feedback from the rest of your crew by pre-arrangement. You can say to the person behind you, can you watch for whether I'm doing this and tell me when I am or when I am not? As a crew, agree together that you will be accountable to each other and that you will put in effort to make these changes, while recognizing that change will come in different ways for different people. From the coach's point of view, you have to gain buy-in. You need to have the trust of your athletes that what you're trying to teach is going to be beneficial, and they have to agree to that. And so explaining the why is also important for getting buy-in. And lastly, we should normalize the struggle. That's a rather fancy way of saying we all know that we are on a journey seeking the perfect stroke. Now, if someone's not on that journey, then obviously they're not going to be aligned with what you're trying to coach and what the rest of the crew is trying to learn. So the struggle is ours together. We're all in it, seeking the perfect stroke. And these are the things that we do in order to achieve it. Till next time.
We are part of the RowingChat podcast network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.